Chapter 3, Trouble in the Tojo Clan. Welcome back to our Yakuza 4 Remastered playthrough. In our last episode, we were released by the police after spending a lovely night being questioned by possibly the shadiest cop I've ever seen. So, yeah, we were let free, and we went back to our office, where we met this mysterious woman who wants 100 million yen within 10 days. Wants to borrow from us 100 million yen in 10 days. She still has to pass her test, which we're going to get to, I assume, either in this episode or next. And then we were invited to a rooftop by our friend Kido here, who is standing right beside us, who I thought was going to shoot us in the back of the head, execution style, for seeing his mentor slash master slash top bloke in his particular family murder some other bloke from a different family. It's Yakuza complicated. There's bodies, So yeah, and we helped a very poor businessman learn how to fire people so that his business doesn't go under. Hope he appreciates that going forward. So anyway, let's progress a little bit, because we've just escaped the cops after beating up some more Yakuza on that rooftop after Kido had his little heart-to-heart with us. And yeah, we're going to proceed with episode 3. Akiyama asks, "Hey, how'd your little session with Sugiuchi go?" Sugiuchi being the shadiest cop I have ever seen. Kido said, don't get me started. That guy really puts the dick in detective. What an asshole. Akiyama says, no joke. But hey, if I were over 40 and still stuck as a beat cop, I'd probably have a chip on my shoulder too. Kido asks, you think that's all it is? Akiyama says, you think it's not? Kido replies, I don't know, it kind of feels like he's, obsessed with you and Araya Nikki or something. Akiyama asks, how do you figure? Kido says, he kept grilling me about how you two met. Oh, and he wouldn't shut up about wanting to know what Kanemura's loan terms were. Doesn't that seem kinda weird to you? Akiyama says, I guess. Kido says, not that I can blame him for wondering. Why are you throwing your weight behind Araya Nikki? Akiyama says, that's my little secret. Kido says, come on, Akiyama-san, you can tell me. Akiyama laughs, maybe when you're older. Kido just sighs and wanders after him. And our shady cop just happens to walk out of the gents right as they leave. Guess he's overheard something. So now we're out in Theatre Square with some bloke who looks slightly cross-eyed on that poster just ahead of us. Anyway, Akiyama thinks to himself, no pressing business right now. Maybe I'll take a little stroll around the city before heading back to the office. Alright, so it looks like we're free-ish. So while we're free-ish, I'll head... No, I won't, apparently. Akiyama thinks to himself, A woman says, no, stop it. Cocky Punk says, what are you so worried about, honey? It's not like we're going to take anything from you. It's all about what we're going to give you. Sleazy Punk says, don't worry, I'll be sure to thank you real good once we're done. So what do you say, baby? Woman says, someone help. Akiyama thinks to himself, I don't have gas in the tank for this, but I can't just sit back and watch. So he says, hey, I'd suggest leaving her alone if I were you. The cocky punk asks, who's talking? We don't take advice from no-name shit off the street. Akiyama says, you should start. You're never going to get a girl if you treat them like property instead of people. Sleazy Punk says, I'll treat a broad however I want. Cocky Punk says, besides, who the hell do you think you are? I bet you ain't no saint yourself. Sleazy Punk says, guess we're going to have to educate you, and I'm not talking with a blackboard and chalk. Hurry up. Are there any weapons? There aren't. What do you mean there aren't any weapons around here? Yeah. Well, he's dead. Slightly. Cocky Punk says, damn it, you're unreal, man. Akiyama says, hey, turns out you were right. I'm not a saint. Not after painting your face with my shoe, at least. Run along now, kids. The Sleazy Punk shouts, this ain't the last you've heard of us, as they run away. Akiyama says, well, now that that's taken care of, you okay, miss? And she's gone. Akiyama says, oh, guess she ran off. Can't say I'm surprised, though. Their voice shouts, you there, got a minute? Oh, it's Sergeant Slaughter. Akiyama says, depends. What do you need? Well-built man says, well, I was observing your scuffle there, and I can see your physical potential is through the roof. Did you used to play any sports? Akiyama says, not really. Pretty sure the last time I kicked a ball around was in middle school. Well-built man says, so then it's just natural talent. Understood. Well-built man says, my name is Saigo. I run an operation in this general area. Akiyama asks, what kind of operation? Saigo says, I'm glad you asked. Do you know about the looming crisis Japan faces? Akiyama asks, crisis? What crisis? Saigo replies, put frankly, peace addiction. Nowadays, all people in Japan can think about is peace. Akiyama says, uh-huh. Saigo says, in my youth I fought as a mercenary, mostly in the Middle East. I've seen many breathe their last, friend and foe alike. You were with Solid Snake, weren't you? Saigo says, it was then I realized an astounding truth. In this world, anything can happen. Anytime, anywhere. Akiyama says, oh, I get it now, you're a soldier. That explains the stocky build, the fatigues, and the bald head. Saigo says, someone as strong as yourself must realize how everyone in this city is putting themselves at risk every moment of the day. They're too vulnerable. Akiyama says, Saigo says, same goes for you. You're not as clever as you think. Akiyama asks, huh? What are you talking about? Huh? Hey! Those are the keys to my office. Give those back. So we've got pickpocketed. Good for us. Saigo laughs. You may be a good fighter, but your senses are as dull as a doorknob. Akiyama asks, did you set that up? Cut me some slack here, man. We just met. Saigo says, a strong individual like you should have no problem chasing him down, but you better get going. Who knows what'll happen if you let him get away? Akiyama says, yeah, thanks for the advice. Here we go again. Guess we're running. Chase battles, pursuing. When you are the pursuer in a chase event, capture the enemy by depleting their chase gauge to almost zero and tackling them with square button. You can also deliver the finishing blow by picking up an object during the chase and pressing circle to throw it at the enemy. Deliver precise tackles by wisely navigating your way through the course or dashing with the left stick. And that's all the memo now. Jumping. Press X to jump during chase events. Timing your jumps allows you to avoid trash cans, bicycles and other obstacles. Picking up, throwing objects. Beer bottles and other debris from the road to be thrown at the enemy. Press circle to throw the objects that you pick up. Think we got him. Akiyama says, whew, that good enough for you? Saigo says, looks like you've got a strong set of legs. I was right about you. Akiyama says, I'm sorry, but your praise is less than flattering. Can I go now? Saigo says, wait. I have to talk to you about something. Let's head to the roof. Can we at least get assassinated if we are? Akiyama asks the roof. Could you just act normal for 1 second? And up we go to the roof. Akiyama asks, so what did you want to talk about? Saigo says, hey, don't look so sour. Anyways, what should I call you? Akiyama says, the name's Akiyama. Saigo says, Akiyama-kun, seems like you get into fights nearly every day. Akiyama says, well, I wouldn't if I had a choice, but that's just the way things have been working out. Saigo says, it's clear you have a strong talent for fighting. It'd be a tragedy to see it go to waste. Are you interested in tapping into your dormant abilities? I can help you. Akiyama asks, what do you mean dormant? Pretty sure I hand out maximum beatings every day of the week. Saigo says, then let me ask you, do you feel any change in your body right now? Akiyama asks, change? Saigo says, a few moments ago you ran after my pupil, but you weren't simply running for running's sake. My pupil forced you to run in a style which would use your muscles in the most efficient manner. So, how do you feel? Is your body somewhat lighter than before? Akiyama says, I guess now that you say so, I do feel lighter. We've learnt dash kick. Abilities learnt via training. You can check abilities learnt via training in the abilities screen in the pause menu. Saigo says, every person has to train differently depending on their build and usual exercise regimen. Train correctly and I guarantee your strength will be multiplied. Akiyama says, yeah, I think I'm starting to see that. Saigo says, I'm pretty much always here, so come back whenever you want to train further. Akiyama says, that's a really nice offer and all, but can I ask you something first? Saigo asks, what? Akiyama asks, why me? You don't even know me. Saigo chuckles, I guess it's natural to be curious. It's hard to explain, but there is a reason why I chose you and only you. I'll tell you more if you agree to come back. Akiyama says, at least you sound like you know what you're talking about. All right then. I'll stop by whenever I have the time. Saigo says, great, I'll be waiting. Daijiro Saigo's training, Akiyama. It's been edited as a memo. Good for it. Gee, I just want to be assassinated on a rooftop. Is that not... I'm sure that you could... I don't know, arrange that somehow, but no one wants to assassinate me on a rooftop. There was a glowy thing up here when we fought those blokes from the other clan, wasn't there? There's something here. We got the Kamurocho underground locker key B1. Yay! I knew there was something up here. I knew I'd seen something up here. Saigo says, there you are, ready to begin your training. Well, why not? Saigo says, alright, what do you want to work on? Shooting. Let's work on combat, shall we? Saigo says, alright, we're going to be doing some mock combat. Fight me as you would in a real fight. If you manage to win, you pass. But remember, this isn't sparring, it's a fight. I'll be using a machine gun to simulate the danger of true warfare. Akiyama asks, a machine gun? Quit screwing around, this is my life we're talking about. Saigo says, don't worry, it's a fake machine gun just for training purposes. It'll hurt like hell if you get hit, but you won't die. Akiyama says, wait a second here. Saigo says, enough, don't be such a wimp, just do it already. Akiyama says, easy for you to say, you've got the gun. Saigo says, I've had enough of your lip, give it a try and you'll understand. Let's get started. Are you ready? I guess so. Akiyama says, ready as I'll ever be. Saigo says, alright, start. Okay, so, can't block bullets, even fake ones. Can't grab him. Saigo says, Vale, where the hell do you think you are? This is war, not some yuppie street game. Akiyama says, actually, I'm pretty sure this isn't war. Saigo says, idiot, life is war. You do well not to forget it. Come back when you're prepared to try again. Over and out. Well, you do you, me old mucker. I'll get Ishiyo's Dragon Spirit. And a double kick. An additional kick follows a front kick with 2 triangles. Ishiyo's Dragon Spirit was stay alive while in heat mode with the tireless strength of the Ishiyo Dragon. Activated heat mode if health is flashing. Well, I probably should actually eat one of my sponsored sushi. Sponsored sushi. Now, let's be off. Sorry, mate. Well, not really, but you get the idea. Man says, hey buddy, you think you can get away with what you done? You know what I'm talking about. Don't fucking play dumb with me, pal. It's payback time. And this is gonna hurt. Your ear, sir, is just... oh. Get over here. Oh! Oh, yeah, that... You'll need a chiropractor at the very least for the rest of your life, mate. Man says, oof, sorry, I thought you were someone else. Just forget that ever happened. Here, for your trouble. This is yours. We got a saucy toughness ZZ. Sure. Student says, there are so many awesome games here, I'm totally addicted. Youth says, where are you now? No, nobody else is here, huh? Yeah, huh? Really? Mi-chan's getting married. Yeah, that's great. Yes, sure, yep. Sorry, sir. This gentleman with the bad haircut says, why are you glaring at us like that? You want me to deck you? I mean, that's one way to assert your dominance. Oh, I mean, no one will notice that I carry around a katana and got people on the street, will they? No. Gentleman with the bad haircut says, you got me. You really pack a punch. I'll let you off the hook for it today. We got another toughness ZZ. Yay. User? Whiny man says, forget it. Those girls hate my guts. Calming woman. You're a woman? Sorry. I know we can't say that anymore. Calming woman, question mark, says, don't give up now. After all, you've only seen 3 of them. You have 3? 1, 2. Where are you hiding the 3rd? Whiny man says, yeah, and each one gave me the same open-mouthed stare. My best jokes flew right over their heads. I'm telling you, it isn't working out. No use. I'll never manage an article on Hostess Club tips and tricks. Akiyama says, excuse me, I hate to interrupt, but if you're not going in, would you mind moving aside? A calming woman says, sorry, we'll get out of your way. Akiyama says, wait, aren't you Minamizawa-san from the Mars Fighters comedy duo? Wow, I'm a big fan of yours. Calming woman says, see, Minamizawa-san, I told you you had plenty of fans in Kanto. Akiyama asks, are you here for work? Hope it goes well. I'll be rooting for you. Minamizawa says, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Calming woman whispers, Minamizawa-san, this is your chance. This fan of yours seems to know the nightlife around here. Maybe he can tell us about the hostess clubs. Minamizawa whispers back, what are you talking about? You want me to embarrass myself in front of a fan? The calming woman whispers, here's the thing, Minamizawa-san. Entertainers have to be responsible if they want to get hired back. Fulfilling your assignment is paramount. Keep up the spoiled brat act, and I'll see to it you never darken the doorstep of our publishing house again. Minamizawa says, all right, okay, I'll do it. The woman says, excuse me, do you happen to frequent hostess clubs, if I may be so bold as to ask? Akiyama asks, yeah, I guess you could say that. Ashibe says, wonderful, allow me to introduce yourself. I am Ashibe, an editor for Casanova, a magazine for men who want to become more popular with the ladies, and, Akiyama says, oh, I'm Akiyama. Ashibe says, the thing is, Akiyama-san, we've commissioned a series of articles from Minamizawa-san here on some tips to use at the club's Jewel and Shine. Club for Shine? Anyway, Ashibe says, but it seems they do things differently out west, where Minamizawa-san is from. He's having a hard time hitting it off with these Tokyo girls. Akiyama says, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Ashibe says, do you think you could give Minamizawa-san a little info on some of the girls at the clubs I've mentioned? Ashibe says, I'll pay you for your time, of course. Come on, Minamizawa-san, don't you have something to add? Minamizawa says, please? Akiyama says, well, I guess I could tell you about a couple of my favourites. Ashibe says, that would be wonderful. Thank you very much. We're working out of Quez Bar. Quez Bar? Q's Bar? C Bar in the Kamurocho Underground Mall. Could you stop by there when you have some info for us? Minamizawa says, please, whenever you can, and grovels rather a lot. Akiyama says, sure thing, I'll see you later then. Gotta remember where Club 4 Shine is. Sweet girl says, hey darling, I just got back from Okinawa. Cool boy says, what? When did you go to Okinawa? We've been hanging out like every day these last few weeks. Sweet girl says, online, silly. I signed up for this thing called Amoebatar. Amoebatar? You can make your little person go all sorts of places. Cool boy says, oh, is that the thing where you make an avatar and then use it to play games and stuff? Sweet girl says, that's right, some of my online friends and I went on a virtual trip to Okinawa. You should give it a try, darling. Cool boy says, if I did, you might stop begging me to take you places all the time. Sweet girl says, huh? What was that? Cool boy says, oh, nothing. I'll sign up when I get home. A, right? Sweet girl cries, yay, I love you so much, darling. Hey, once you get signed up, let's go to Okinawa together. Akiyama thinks to himself, A, that sounds like something the girls at the club would be into. Sun-loving Yakuza says, I tell you, nice weather puts me in a great mood. How about yourself, buddy? Sure. I prefer it when it's raining though, but do you like the sun? And I'm not going to take that away from you. You just enjoy the sun. Lost businessman. Can't walk much further. Oh man, the seat of that taxi would be heaven on earth. But if I walk home, I can use the money I saved to buy beer. Decisions. Take the taxi, dude. Taxis. There are 6 locations in total where you can catch a taxi. 5 on the outskirts of Kamurocho and 1 in the Kamurocho central parking lot. Use taxis to quickly travel to far-off locations. You can also use taxis to travel to locations outside of Kamurocho. Visit a taxi stand when you need to leave the city. And that's now a memo. The exhausted businessman says, oh right, I have some money on me today. I guess I can take a taxi and buy some beer afterwards. Heaven's truly a place on earth. We gained 500 experience points, and he gets a taxi ride home. Good for him. Lanky businessman said, he's not lanky. Incorrect adjective, he's quite husky actually. Lanky businessman says, you know, I always walk past this Yoshida batting center. Maybe hitting a few balls could be the exercise I need. I mean, if you want to hit your balls, you go right ahead, just don't bring them anywhere near mine. The intense businesswoman says, better than sitting on your butt all day like you're doing just now. It's pretty fun actually, they make it like a game instead of just swinging at random balls. I head here all the time, especially when that scumbag manager of ours starts in with his you look sexy today bullshit. I imagine the ball is his head, real therapeutic. Lanky businessman says, whoa, guess I'll have to give it a try. You do that. Lanky means long and thin, not your stature, sir. I'm sorry to say. Didn't I just beat you up? I know that dodgy haircut. Man says, hey there, pal. You're the punk who beat up our young'uns, right? Don't even bother denying it. Just shut up and take your medicine like the man you wish you were. Look at that bicycle fly. Oh dear. It's almost as good as Yakuza 2 Kiwami's physics, where they were just bouncing around like pinballs. Now. How about you come over here and enjoy that car boot, and then my boot. How about that? That's what you get for having that dodgy haircut. Man says, oof, young'uns never stood a chance. Here, my way of saying sorry. Go on, take it. We got a fresh 5,000 yen. Okay. Now we've chatted to you. Troubled man. I'm low on cash, but maybe with the discount I can go. I mean, man says, excuse me. Hey, I know you can hear me. Why are you ignoring me, huh? Still nothing? Fine by me. We'll settle this with a good old-fashioned ass-kicking. Well, I mean, that's one way. What else can I use as a weapon around here? I can use you. Look at that. Oh, he didn't like that. Alright. Man says, yikes, forgive me. It was all my fault. I won't pick fights like that ever again. Here, take this and forgive me. We got a fragile 5,000 yen. Okay. Club Jewel. The attendant says, hello sir, welcome to Jewel. Please come inside when you are ready. 20% tax! 20% tax. Jeez. The attendant says, all right then. Would you like to request a specific girl? Akiyama says, yeah, no preference. The attendant says, no preference? Yes, sir, please come this way. The attendant says, sorry to keep you waiting. This is Chihiro. Chihiro says hello. Well, that's... Okay. They're drinking. Chihiro says, I hope you're enjoying yourself. Here you go. She lights his cigarette. Chihiro says, I'm Chihiro. Nice to meet you. Akiyama says, hi there. My name is Akiyama Shun. Are you a college student by any chance? Chihiro says, yes I am. How did you know? Just a wild guess with the very light brown hair. Akiyama says, in my line of work I have to be able to notice things like that. Chihiro says, wow, that's pretty impressive. Akiyama says, you know, working as a hostess will teach you to do the same. Chihiro asks, it will? I'm not so sure. Irena says, hello. Oh, yes. Okay, hello Irena. Oh, you're all bone. Akiyama asks, you don't drink, do you? Chihiro says, nope. I've had alcohol at college parties, but I just can't handle it. I prefer juice. Irena says, your customers must like that. It's cheaper. Akiyama laughs. True enough. Wait, so you've never got drunk? Chihiro says, that's right. I can't drink enough to get drunk. Akiyama says, I think it's something you should experience at least once, if only to see what kind of impact it has on you. Chihiro asks, what? No, I couldn't. What if I started acting like a complete idiot? Akiyama laughs. That's kind of the point. Chihiro says, sorry, it sounds like another customer requested me. Please enjoy the rest of your time here. Excuse me. And she leaves. And we're left with... I'm sure there are some who find you extremely beautiful, Irena. Yes. Irena says, it's nice to meet you. I'm Irena. Akiyama says, hi. I'm Akiyama Shun. Are you from the Kansai region by any chance? Irena says, that's right. People here noticed that right away. My accent really that different? Akiyama says, yeah, it is. Irena says, seriously? Well then, can you tell which part of Kansai I'm from? I'm going to say Osaka. Just because. Akiyama asks, are you from Osaka? Irena says, nope, I'm from Kyoto. Akiyama asks, Kyoto? Really? I never would have guessed. Irena asks, why do you think I was from Osaka? Akiyama replies, oh, you just seemed like the stereotypical Osaka girl, flashy and confident. Irena says, that's not true. I'm a refined Kyoto beauty. All power to you. Akiyama says, whoa, a bit forward, are we? Irena says, you've got kind of a restrained personality, don't you? Not like the men of Kansai. Akiyama asks, really? What do you mean? Irena says, Kansai men are real laid back. They'll meet someone for the first time and act like they're best friends. But people around here always seem to act so formal, even around people who are their own age. It makes me a little nervous. Akiyama says, I see. I hadn't thought of it that way. Yeah, you're not the shy type, are you? Akiyama asks, you're not the shy type, are you? Irena laughs. That's for sure. If anything, I'd like to stand out. You definitely stand out, dear. Akiyama says, I thought so. I could tell, even though we just met. Irena says, in Katsai you can just jump right in and start talking like you know someone, but that just seems to freak out people from Tokyo. So I try to keep it under control at first. Akiyama says, but you can't keep it up for long, can you? Irena says, you saw right through me there. No. Oh, hello, Noah. Noah? Oh, that does look so delicate in your massive hand, Akiyama. Noah says, I'm Noah. Nice to meet you. You are stunning, aren't you? Sorry, Irena. Just, yes. Akiyama says, hi, I'm Akiyama Shu. Noah says, hello, Akiyama-san. You seem like you know your way around Hostess Club. Akiyama says, I suppose, but I don't come by myself very often. I can get a little too relaxed. Noah laughs. That's my favorite type of customer. I can just take it easy and be myself. Sometimes CEOs will drag some of their new employees here. The poor boys get so nervous it terrifies me. We're going to go with... That's understandable. Akiyama says, that's understandable they get so nervous. Can't blame a guy for that when he's around so many beautiful girls. Noah says, you're a pretty smooth talker, aren't you? Irene laughs. You sure have a silver tongue, don't you? Yes, but Noah's probably the only one going to find out just how silver is what she said. Akiyama says, no, it's true. My heart's racing just to talk to you two. Noah says, oh, then what could we do to help you relax? I can think of many things that would not be permissible to be said. Akiyama says, I'll get used to it sooner or later. Come on, let's drink. Hi. Noah says, okay. Noah asks, so what kind of girls do you like? Irena says, that's a good question. Akiyama says, oh, come on, you don't really want to know that, do you? Yeah, let's drink. Noah says, so that must mean I'm not your type. Akiyama asks, hey, why are you looking so down? Noah says, my last customer said he wanted a girl who was more ladylike. Please just send Irena over to him, and you and me, we can... Yes, we can chat more. Noah says, I don't think he's going to be requesting me next time. I don't want her to change her image. Akiyama says, don't worry about it. That was just one guy. Who cares what he thinks? Noah asks, but don't most clients want a girl like that? Yeah. Akiyama says, I don't know. If this club hadn't found you attractive, they wouldn't have hired you, right? Noah says, oh, I hadn't thought of it that way. Akiyama says, you just keep on doing what you're doing. Noah says, thanks. I feel better now. Noah says, is our time up already? Akiyama says, looks like it. Irena hands us her business card and says, hello, I'm Irena. Akiyama thinks maybe I'll request her next time, and no, we're getting Noah's business card. Irena, you can, yes. You can, Irena, there's the door. Don't let her hit you on the way out. Right, that was only 11,550 yen. I'm guessing we'll need more if we want to request Noah. Thank you, Mr. Attendant. Yes, the attendant says, please do come again. Oh, says, watch your step. Yes, don't worry. There will be no tripping. Unless it's forward. Oh, we got a phone, an email. Oh dear. Okay, from Irena Ihara. Hi, it's Irena. Thanks for visiting. You sure are. There are a lot of emojis here. Why? I never know how to read bloody emojis. So, hi, it's Irena. Thanks for visiting. You sure are fun. I hope you come by again and ask me my name. See you then. Yeah. You just hold on to that dream, Irena. Just, yeah. You hold on to that dream. Miss Dunny, it was nice meeting you. Noah here. Thank you for stopping by today. I don't think I've ever met anyone quite like you. I started to forget about work and really enjoy myself for once. LOL. If you feel the same way about me, be sure to ask me by name next time. I think you're in, Noah. I do think you are in. Yes. No roadworks down there? No? Wonder why they've got the signs out. I mean, I'm only slightly drunk. What's that? Oh, that's a manhole cover. That's fine. A personhole cover? I'm not going to even try to be politically correct because I'm just not. Akiyama says there's something here. And we got Taihei Boulevard locker key C1. Go us. Right. Lost Man says, I said, which Popo? Nakamichi Alley? Look, I have no idea where that is. Okay. You could just ask someone. Akiyama says, hey there, think you could move out of my way? And another man speaking a different language. Akiyama thinks to himself, doesn't look like he speaks Japanese or wants to let me through. Correct on both counts. Chief Executive Officer says, my head's going to explode. Must have had too much to drink last night. Could you go see if they've got anything for a hangover at Kotobuki Drugs over there? Section Chief asks, you sure you're okay, sir? You were still doing shots at sunrise. Maybe you should take the day off. Or the next month, whatever. Chief Executive Officer asks, what choice did I have? We have to keep our customers happy when we take them out. That's part of the job. Section Chief says, I know. I mean, thanks to your hard work and drinking, we got them to sign that contract. So what will it be? Stamina and Torine. I'll get you anything you want. Okay. Madam, why are you just staring at this woman's bosoms? Inconsiderate date asks, what are you doing? Girl glued to screen says, playing pachinko. Inconsiderate date asks, pachinko on your phone? Girl glued to screen says, yeah, it's called 777 Town. You haven't heard of it? It's an app that lets you play pachinko or slots on your phone or anywhere. Inconsiderate date says, wow, that's cool, let me try. Girl glued to screen says, no way, don't you have a date soon? So by soon, I mean, like, now? Inconsiderate date says, oh, come on, just one game, then I'll go. Akiyama thinks 777 Town, sounds like something the girls at the club might be into. Your dark glasses aren't fooling anyone, dear. You're staring straight at that woman's bosom. Groaning man groans. Akiyama asks, what's the matter? You're sweating like crazy. Groaning man says, I was going to buy some stomach medicine from that drugstore, but I can't move another step or else... Akiyama says, yikes, don't move, I'll go buy some for you. Just hang in there, okay? Shortly thereafter, Akiyama asks, well, feeling better? The cured man says, I think I'm over the worst of it. I guess it wasn't such a good idea to hit 20 yakiniku restaurants in a single day. Well, you're probably pushing it. Akiyama asks, really? 20 of them? You must really love yakiniku. The cured man says, oh, no, it's my job. Ajikawa says, sorry, I should have introduced myself earlier. I am Ajikawa of the Michelin Guide Corporation. Oh, you mean... He's a Michelin reporter, is he? I truly appreciate you stepping in to help upon seeing me squirm like that. Thanks a million. Akiyama says, it was nothing. The name's Akiyama. I'm a moneylender here at Kamurocho. Michelin Guide, isn't that the company that publishes restaurant guidebooks all over in Europe? Ajikawa says, that's right, and now we'd like to include the best of Kamurocho in a Japanese edition of our legendary guidebook. I'm here doing research. But this place just has too many restaurants to try and find the hidden gems. Any burps? Akiyama asks, can you really judge these places properly when you eat so much at once? Ashikawa says, sure. They say an empty stomach is the best condiment, but empty or full hardly matters to us pros when it comes to reviewing a given dish. Akiyama says, I see. So, simply knowing a lot about food isn't enough, huh? Impressive. Ajikawa says, thank you very much. I'm embarrassed to admit, however, that Japanese food isn't my area of expertise. For days now I've been wandering blindly from restaurant to restaurant. It just proves I need a local to point me in the right direction. Akiyama-san, you said you worked in finance here in Kamurocho. You must know all kinds of high-end restaurants in the area then, yes? Akiyama says, well, when it comes to spending money on food, I'm not exactly what you'd call frugal. Ajikawa says, excellent. I've been searching for somebody like you. Would you be so kind as to tell me about some of the better restaurants you know? I'll gladly compensate you for your time, of course. Akiyama says, I don't see why not. There must have been some reason I stopped to help you, so sure, I can show you some places. Ajikawa says, really? Thank you so much. Could you first tell me about your favourite yakiniku restaurant then? And if you could tell me which of their dishes has the most mouth-watering texture, and what their most unique offal dish is, that would be great. Akiyama says, some pretty specific requests you have there. Ajikawa says, many of our readers consider themselves foodies. They prefer selections that are not only tasty, but that make for good conversation as well. Akiyama says, sounds rough. Ashikawa says, ooh, there goes my stomach again. I'll rest for a moment at a bar I know, at least until my stomach settles. I'm terribly sorry, but could you come to Earth Angel in the Champion District once you're done gathering restaurant info? Akiyama says, sure, hope you feel better. So, mouth-watering texture at a unique offal dish at my favourite yakiniku restaurant, right? Ajikawa says, that's right. Good luck, and thank you. He buggers off, and Akiyama thinks to himself, my favourite yakiniku joint, huh? Definitely that one Hana-chan likes so much. We'll have to believe you on that. And says, what kind of example are you setting, strolling around all full of yourself? Think of the children. I better smash your face in now before any kids see you like this. Sure. That's as good a reason as any for a punch-up. Oh, that, yep, you're going to need a dentist, sir. And says, sorry, will you ever forgive me? I got carried away. Here, I'm taking full responsibility for this little incident. And we got a responsible toughness ZZ. Good for us. I don't know, are you a yucky Niku joint? Perchance? We'll eat here, thank you. Alright, are we ready? I don't know. Are we ready? Are we ready to order? Bibimbap. Okay. Must be Korean. Beef yakiniku. Oh, yakiniku. Alright, let's try a pork. Apparently it's delicious and we gained 59 experience points. Well done us. Thank you, Mr. Employee, yes. Akiyama thinks to himself, hey, isn't that our scout? He's tweaking, man. He's high. Akiyama walks up to him and says, working hard? Don't be slacking off now. Lame Scout says, oh, hey there, boss. Akiyama says, don't hey there, boss me. All these girls walking by, you've got to talk to them. Akiyama says, like that one. Oh, some other club got her. Lame Scout says, I'm just not cut out for this job. Akiyama says, what, quitting already? It's your choice to make, but you're being a little hasty, don't you think? Lame Scout says, it's just that nothing's going right. I call out to some girl and she either glares at me or ignores me altogether. I'm starting to get a complex here. Akiyama says, it sounds like you talk to a lot of girls. How many leads did you get today? Lame Scout asks, leads? Akiyama says, come on, you know, how many phone numbers did you get? How many girls? Lame Scout says, 1. Akiyama says, you've got to be kidding. I'll be living off bread crusts and water at this rate. Lame Scout says, I'm not too happy about it myself, you know. I wish there were an easier way to make money. Akiyama says, well, I think I can understand how you feel. Just how are you calling out to these girls anyway? Lame Scout asks, how? Like normally. Hey, you want to be a hostess, like that. Akiyama says, then what? What if she says she's not interested? Lame Scout says, I say, oh, come on, why not? Give it a shot. Akiyama sighs, I don't blame them for giving you the stink eye. Maybe it was fate I saw you here today. I'll give you some basic lessons in scouting. Whether you learn anything is up to you. Lame Scout says, huh? You mean you can scout, boss? Akiyama asks, what kind of idiot do you take me for? I tried my hand at all kinds of hostess club jobs before I came to own one myself. Lame Scout says, wow, you sure don't mess around. Akiyama says, not when it comes to work anyway. That's the trick to getting rich. Now it's time for you to take that first step. Come with me. And off we go, sort of. Lame Scout asks, do we have to? Akiyama says, yep, now get moving. Lame Scout asks, seriously? What a drag. We're on a slightly busier street. Akiyama says, the first rule of scouting, never let a girl pass you by. You've been standing around all day with only one lead to show for it. Proof positive you've been playing hockey instead of work. Lame Scout says, look, you can talk the talk, boss, and I see what you're saying. I do. But can you walk the walk? How good are you, really? You seem confident enough, so I guess you're probably really something at one point. Still, I get the feeling your skills are pretty rusty. Akiyama asks, you really want to go there? Okay, give me 5 minutes to do some scouting of my own then. You tell me how many leads I should score in that amount of time. Lame Scout asks, seriously? Well, gee, I don't know. I'm kind of clueless when it comes to this stuff. Akiyama says, I noticed. Lame Scout says, ouch, fine. Alright, if that's the way you're going to be, then I'm not going to hold back. How about 3 times the leads I pulled in? And that's 3 people. You need 3 leads to win. Akiyama says, fine, but why 3 particularly? Lame Scout says, because a real master ought to be able to do 3 times better than a normal person, right? Akiyama says, whatever you say. Okay then, here I go. Clock starts now. Score some leads. In the next 5 minutes, talk to as many women as possible and ask for their phone numbers, i.e. get leads. Do keep in mind, however, that you're scouting specifically for hostesses. Would you like to examine my giant witch's hat here? No, not you. That one. You've got the right look. Akiyama says, hi, I'm a scout for a hostess club. Asian woman says, huh? Akiyama says, I'm a scout for a hostess club. Any chance you'd be interested in that kind of work? Asian woman speaks foreign language. Akiyama says, oops, shouldn't have assumed she speaks Japanese. Akiyama says, sorry to bother you, goodbye. Well, okay then. Not you. You need some help. Akiyama says, hello, I'm a scout for a hostess club. Woman in a suit says, nothing. Akiyama says, I'm sensing a little reluctance. This could be your chance to break into one of today's hottest careers. Woman in a suit says, ugh, back off or I'll call the cops. Akiyama says, yikes, sorry. Fine. Not her then. Oh, she likes to laugh. How about you, love? Akiyama says, hi there, I'm a scout for a hostess club. Young woman says nothing. Young man says nothing. Young man says, you've got some kind of nerve scouting a girl when she's with her guy, Pops. Akiyama laughs. I guess I do. My apologies. Young man says, hold up. I ain't gonna let you off the hook that easy. Come here a second. Akiyama says, I'm in kind of a hurry. Young man says, shut up, I'll teach you to mess with me. Well, that's your choice, sir, really. If I win, do we get your girlfriend for the club? Just asking. Yeah, she won't want to go with you anymore. You're a bit beat up. Akiyama says, anyway, sorry, can I go now? The young man says, yes, sir. Akiyama says, hi there, I'm a scout for a hostess club. Any interested in that line of work? Flashy woman says, perfect timing. I work at a club now. I was just wondering if I should try somewhere else. Akiyama asks, really? I could help you with that. I'm Akiyama. May I ask your name? Flashy woman says, I'm Satomi. Akiyama says, Satomi, huh? What sort of place were you looking for? Flashy woman says, my current club has really strict quotas. I'm thinking about finding some place a little more laid back. Akiyama says, not a problem. Our club has no quotas whatsoever, and all of our girls are super motivated. Flashy woman says, wow, that sounds pretty neat. Akiyama says, here, take my card. Could I get your cell phone number? Flashy woman says, sure, call me later with the details. Akiyama says, okay, I'll be in touch. Yay, we got one lead. Go us. No use in wandering off. Alright. Akiyama says, hello there, I'm a scout for a hostess club. Sexy gal says, little old to be a scout, don't you think? Akiyama laughs. You got me there. Believe it or not, I'm actually only 32. So, do you already have a position somewhere else? Sexy gal says, at a club in Roppongi. Akiyama says, no wonder. I knew there was something about you. Ever give any thought to switching clubs? Sexy gal says, well, actually. Oh, your pimp is here. Yakuza says, hey you, what are you doing talking to my girl? Sexy girl says, hi Chikun, been waiting forever. Akiyama says, oh, she's with you. I was just hoping she might want to give our club a try. Yakuza says, are you shitting me, pal? I should chop off your finger for that. Well, you can try. That did not last long. Yakuza says, you're good. Sexy gal says, sorry about that, mister. Chikun has a really short fuse. I'm sure he does. Now, what do you say to the nice man, Chikun? Yakuza says, sorry, my bad. Sexy gal says, can I make it up to you? I'll hear you out on that hostess thing. Akiyama says, sure thing. I'll get in touch with you later then. We've scored another lead. But we only have 10 seconds to find the last one. Oh well. Akiyama says, looks like my time is up. Lame Scout says, harder than you remembered, eh, boss? Akiyama says, we'll see about that. Lame Scout says, see, I knew you were all talk. This doesn't make you look good, boss. Akiyama says, there just weren't enough people out there today. Ordinarily, I'd pull in way more leads. Lame Scout says, sure, whatever helps you sleep at night. Akiyama says, you're really starting to piss me off, you know that? Lame Scout says, seriously though, boss, for you to get out there like that for my sake, that was pretty awesome. I think I'll stay in the game a little longer. Akiyama asks, oh yeah? Good to hear. And this time, be sure to work hard, okay? Lame Scout says, you bet. Akiyama says to himself, I guess it turned out alright after all. I guess it did. We gained 5,000 experience. Yay, us. Oh, no. Turn around. Sorry, sir. It's quite the bounce you've got in your step, dear. Akiyama thinks, huh? What's with him? He better not be stalking my girls. Akiyama says, hey, what are you doing? Shady Man says, whoa. Nothing. Akiyama says, you were sneaking a look at something. Shady Man asks, sneaking a look? No, I was just waiting for somebody. Akiyama asks, for who? Shady Man says, there she is. Akiyama asks, who? You mean Mickey? Shady Man asks, oh, do you know her? Akiyama says, sure, I own this place. Shady Man says, what? Akiyama asks, and who might you be, A stalker, perhaps? Yeah. Shady Man says, no, nothing like that. Akiyama asks, are you one of her customers? Shady Man says, uh-huh. Akiyama asks, why not just go into the club then? The Shady Man says, well, the thing is... Akiyama asks, what? The Shady Man says, I've spent more than 5 million yen here over the past 2 years, and it looks like my money's finally run out. Akiyama says, 5 million yen? Shady Man says, that's right. I was this close to winning her over too. Akiyama says, if 5 million yen wasn't enough, I think it might be time to call it quits. Shady Man says, I just know I could do it if I had another million. Akiyama asks, what's your name? Shady Man says, Taniguchi. Akiyama says, I'm Akiyama. In addition to this club, I also run a loan office called Sky Finance. Taniguchi asks, yeah? Akiyama says, look, the way things are now, you've got a snowball's chance in hell of going out with Mickey. Taniguchi asks, huh? Akiyama says, even with another million yen, unless you make some changes, you could see her 10 more times and still get absolutely nowhere. Taniguchi says, great. Akiyama says, besides, you need more than just money to woo a woman. First you have to work on your look. Then comes building up your own personal brand of charm. Taniguchi asks, but how do I do all that? Akiyama says, meet me in front of the Millennium Tower later. I'll give you a little advice. Taniguchi asks, you do that for me? Akiyama says, sure. Wouldn't be much of an owner if I didn't step in to help such a loyal customer. Taniguchi says, thank you very much. Akiyama says, oh, and the next time we meet, come all decked out in your Lady Killer best. Taniguchi asks, Lady Killer? Akiyama says, you know, the clothes you'd wear if you had the chance to go out on a date with Mickey. I want to get a feel of your sense of style. Taniguchi says, oh, okay, I will. I'll see you later then. And thanks again. What are you looking at, sir? Energetic Superior says, let's try Elise next. Come on, hurry up. Tired Subordinate says, please, sir, not another club. You really can't get enough of those hostesses, can you? Energetic Superior says, Elise is the best. Their girls are all top-notch. Plus, they'll wear whatever you like. And I hear they'll even wear sexy costumes for you. Tired Subordinate asks, you mean like cosplay? Now that actually doesn't sound half bad. Energetic Superior says, that's the spirit. You're always so tired and depressed. Let's go blow off some steam with a couple of cuties. You do that then. Can't go in. Oh well. Millennium Tower. A financially troubled woman says, I don't want a loan from you anyway. You're not the only office here in Kamurocho, you know. The loan shark says, that's not the point. You've been blacklisted. There's not a loan shark in town who'd lend to you now. Financially troubled woman says, you don't know that for sure. I'm never doing business with you ever again. And the loan shark buggers off. Akiyama says, pardon me, miss, did I hear you having money trouble? Financially troubled woman asks, and who are you? Not another debt collector, I hope. Akiyama says, no, not at all, but I am in the same line of business as that other fellow. Financially troubled woman says, a moneylender? Then I'd like to apply for a loan. Oh, but why bother? It's no use. Akiyama says, it sounds like they've got you blacklisted. Is that right? How much do you owe? Financially troubled woman says, I'd say about 10 million or so. You don't know? Akiyama asks, about? So you don't even know how much you borrowed? Financially troubled woman says, loan sharks, credit cards, you name it, I've borrowed money from it. What are you getting at? Akiyama says, "Oh, it's just that you put on a brave face for somebody so deep in debt. Nice clothes and all that. It made me wonder." Financially troubled woman asks, "What's the point in looking all pitiful just because I happen to owe some people money? This is how I live, after all." Akiyama says, "I see. There's something else, you know that? You certainly caught my attention." The financially troubled woman asks, "Are you hitting on me?" Akiyama says, "No, it's not that. Look, if you're truly ready to make a fresh start, come to my office, Sky Finance on Tenkaichi Street." Financially troubled woman asks, "Sky Finance? I've heard rumors." Akiyama says, "My name is Akiyama Shun, and you are?" Shoko says, "Me? I'm Shoko Muto. Muto Shoko. Muto Shoko. Muto Shoko, Muto Shoko." Not singing that. Akiyama says, "Well then, Shoko-san, I hope you'll decide to pay me a visit." Shoko says, "Goodbye," and sways her hips as she leaves. Akiyama thinks to himself, "Muto Shoko. I have a feeling I'll see her sooner or later. In fact, she might already be on her way. Maybe I ought to head over to the office and see." I mean, that's something we could do. Amateur Sky Gazer says, "Rooftops must exist so you can get a better look at the sky. I mean, you get your run-of-the-mill weirdos up there too, but they almost always add to the wonder of rooftop sky gazing. Rooftops, you can get to the rooftop areas from various places in Kamurocho. The rooftops are divided into the southwest and southeast areas. These areas can be used as alternate routes to typical street routes. Rooftop entrances and exits are marked on your map. However, most building managers deem it too dangerous when it's raining and will close off rooftop entrances in wet weather." And that's all now a memo. Amateur Sky Gazer says, "You should learn all the rooftop routes. Not only do you get a killer view of the sky and the city, but you can get to all sorts of unexpected places from way up high. Yes, like 6 feet under when you fall off." We got 500 experience points. Go us. We can upgrade abilities. And we have three that we can spend. Yeah, I think we should save. Yeah, save for now. But anyway, this has been side story. This has been full of side stories. I remember when there used to be a phone box in here. Silly Telstra taking it away. Veteran detective says that Shibata family needs to settle down. Kamurocho was finally starting to get peaceful too. Notice detective says, "But I heard that the Shibata family was framed." Veteran detective says, "Right, and that's why top members of the Tojo and Ueno Sewa clans are meeting. If the Shibata family does something stupid again..." Novice detective asks, "It'll be war?" Veteran detective asks, "Who knows? It may just blow over after Shibata turns up dead. But whatever happens, it's going to mean more work for us cops." Well, if you say so. let's see what Don Quixote's stocking this time. The employee says welcome. Boss Rainbow Mountain Blend. Oh, okay, that's coffee in a tin can. Alright. Hmm. Ladies suit, black. Blue, beige, white, grey. Oh, the maid-up, the schoolgirl uniform. Why does it have the vest? Does not need the vest. You know, we're out of here. Yes, thank you very much too, Mr. Employee. Okay, well, as I was saying, because this has been mostly side stories of Kamurocho, we may as well not progress anything this episode and leave it fresh for next time. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you in the next episode.